Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Brian. Uh, I just wanted to add some clarity and also some additional perspective on my views on what I posted earlier. First of all, I did see someone posted about what I posted was I agree with Black Lives Matter as far as the concept of Black Lives Matter. That our lives do matter, and our lives are important. Our lives are valuable, and we do matter in this world. We more than matter. We have more. We have more value than just mattering. But anyways, I said Black Lives Matter, but I don't support defunding the police. And what I meant by that is I don't believe necessarily taking money away from police departments is the issue. Maybe reallocating money that they receive, basically requiring them to allocate money back into social programs or justice, to restructuring their department, to training, to development, to more scrutinized background checks, to more reprimand or more consequences for or severe consequences for abuse of authority or wrongful tactics taken. I've seen a lot of people post different strategies and different things that can be done to improve the relationships between law enforcement and particularly black people, but peoples of color, poor people, all those kind of situations. But in particular, we're focusing on black people. And so I think sometimes we get lost in word choices and we get lost in semantics that can sometimes make our arguments not effective. I think sometimes when people hear defund, especially people that are in positions of authority, they automatically turn their ears off. But if you say, instead of that word defund, if you say reinvest or restructure or reallocate, all of a sudden you have my attention because it sounds positive. It sounds like something that's doable, something that can be done. It sounds like a mutual, it already kind of puts you in a mutual compromise just by the word choice. Okay. So I think that those kind of things can be more effective long term because I think people are meaning the same thing, but they're choosing words that I think initially, just like the mayor in Minneapolis, he turned his ears off when people were saying defund the police and defund, because he probably took that as, you need to break down the walls of the police and remove everything and take all money away. I'm just saying this is what he's probably thinking, not me. Because all these people in this crowd are shouting at him. And so maybe what will be a better option to get his attention and to get real change now is reallocate. We want you to reallocate the money that we give you and support law enforcement to come back into our communities where you're spending time, you're investing in our communities, you're taking your law enforcement police officers are in our communities and not just in bad situations, not just patrolling, but out building relationships, out helping us with our homes, helping us with our yard work, helping us with our parks and with our recreational facilities, helping us with at our local grocery stores, or helping us in all facets of life, helping us as needed, and not just in bad situations or in law breaking situations or those kind of things. Because I'll be honest, most black people, I can just speak for me, have had negative encounters with the police. I've had positive ones, but I've had negative ones too. And I won't go into details to share some of them. Some of them are pretty bad. But it's just like I've had those, so I know the feeling that black people are feeling. I know the hurt. I know the frustration. I know the anger. I know the rage. I posted last week that I went off because I was just over the top. Just even it stirred up a lot of emotion in me going back to my childhood and some of the encounters that I had and some of the things that I experienced even in college, being a black man in a very affluent white neighborhood and just different, I'm talking about by law enforcement and different things like that. And so it's just hard to relate unless you've been there. So we need to talk solutions. We need our community to come together and talk solutions. What can we do? What plan can we put together to revitalize, to reform, to rebuild, to restructure our communities, to have better relationships so lives will not be lost in our community? That black men will not be gunned down, that black women will not be gunned down, that people will not be mistreated or treated unjustly, not just death, but being abused and brutal force and abusing and abusive force and misusing their power and authority. And I think it just starts with us building relationships one at a time. I mean, I remember, and I know it's still bad back then, but when I was a kid, which I'm not anymore, I knew the police. I knew them by name. They knew my family. They knew my friends. They knew what I was associated with. So when I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing, they're like, Brian, now you know you weren't raised like that. Now, they couldn't say that to me if they didn't have a relationship with me. So I think it starts authentically with relationship and these officers investing in these communities and reallocating these funds from whatever they're using it for to be used to invest in the community. Because it'd be hard for them to shoot or to wrongly abuse someone that they know, that they were just over their house the other day, just complimenting on them on their flowers, or helping them with their groceries, or helping them take out the trash, or helping them with their yard work, or helping them carry the groceries from the grocery store to their car. It's hard. It will be really hard pressed to take those same people and shove them onto the ground and choke them out and just use all the force possible to where they can't move and can't breathe. It'd be very hard pressed to do that. Or to pull out your gun and threaten to shoot them and threaten to kill them and all that kind of stuff for speeding. So it starts with relationship. It starts with relationship. So spread that everywhere you go. That we need to improve our relationships, because I'm fed up just like everybody else. But I don't want to see all the good ones lumped in with the bad ones, with the knuckleheads, with the criminals that are in the system, because they're there. And the second thing I'll talk about is that I had someone post this, an attorney that talked about, and she clarified some things on what they mean by defunding and basically reallocating these dollars in certain areas. And I agree with a lot of that. And I said that we need more people in positions of authority like that. Sometimes, and I want you to think about this, sometimes these white people aren't necessarily racist, they're just biased. They're not racist, they're just biased. If you have two people that go into the courtroom and the jury's all white, the judge is white, and then you have a black and a white person being tried for the same crime, a lot of times the white person will get a lesser crime because white people can sympathize with other white people, and black people sympathize with other black people. If we go to a different country and it's predominantly black or predominantly Mexican or predominantly Indian or predominantly Asian, and you'll see the exact opposite trend, because people relate and people sympathize and have compassion for people that look like them. So the relationship has to be improved, or else people will always have these unconscious bias. It's like when I see a black person hurting, I unconsciously feel hurt because they look like me. Their hue is the same as me. So I automatically have compassion. White people are the same way. Some of them don't mean to be racist. Some people, I'm talking about in authority. Some people that don't mean to be biased or prejudiced, but it's just a natural reaction. We gravitate towards people that are like us. So in this system, the true change will also come in people of color, black people, Hispanic, whatever other nationalities and ethnic groups you want to say, that we need to be in positions of authority. That way it's diverse. That way it's people that sympathize and have compassion for people that look like them. But whoever's going to dominate, the dominant race is always going to be seen as the oppressor, as the one that is prejudice. And it's because there is an unconscious bias for people that look like you. Unless you have the Holy Spirit, unless you have Jesus in your life, it's hard to not have that. It's hard. And I'm not justifying racism. It is wrong. Prejudice is wrong. Even bias is wrong. But people just have a natural tendency to gravitate towards people that look like them, or that are like them, or unless they've been abused, or unless they've been hurt in the past, then they do the totally opposite. They can have black hate or white hate or Asian hate or Mexican hate or Indian hate, whatever, because they've been perpetrated on. So they lump everybody all into that category. We see that too. But we need people in positions of authority that are black, that are minorities. So that way it diversifies when they go to the justice system and they go through the criminal system. If they commit a crime or something happens, or whatever, if they don't, or if they're in law enforcement and it's diverse, then they'll have balance. It's like, that's my brother, that's my sister. And you need to see people like that regardless of the color of their skin. We all bleed red. All of us. We all bleed red. But all of us unconsciously, we see color. You can't say you don't see it. But at the same point, unconsciously, the majority of people are going to support the majority. The minority are going to support the minority. And we have to do things to change that. So I'm all for restructuring, reinfusing, reallocating, reforming the systems to where people can sympathize and have compassion and love for one another, and let that spread abroad. I'm all for it. But we, as black people in our culture, in our community, we have to get in those positions of authority. We have to increase our net worth. We have to increase our value. We have to increase our stake in the game. It makes a big difference. I'll give you one example. I'll give you just one example. When I was younger, I sped, okay? And I got pulled over and I was going to get a ticket. But the guy knew that someone in my family was in law enforcement. The guy was white that pulled me over. He did not give me a ticket. That's just one example. So as we get people in positions of, and I didn't speed anymore after that. I haven't gotten a speeding ticket in a while. But I'm just saying, we have to improve community relationships. So he knew me because he knew who my family was and all those kind of things. And that's what happens on the reverse side. And it happens more often because they are in positions. White people are more in those positions in America. So it's always going to be seen that way until we improve relationships. We get black people and minorities in positions of authority, and we have better training and development, better background checks, like someone said, better scrutinizing. Someone said a community review board. I mean, there's a lot of good ideas on my feed, and I support a lot of them. But we got to have these tough conversations and not tear one another down, and build one another up in love and hope. Because we can do it. Now is the time. We can do it in love and peace and strategizing and implementing that plan. We got to implement the plan. It's just like a business. We got to implement the plan and stay laser focused and not get distracted by trigger words, but just stay laser focused, and we can accomplish it. We can get better as a society. We can get better as a community. I love my kings and queens. I hate to see anyone innocently die, but it just seems like it's just all over the place that our brothers and sisters, black people, are dying unjustly in all manners. Some that we see and some that we don't. We have to come together and as a community, as a people, and rise up with strategy, with planning, and nothing against other cultures or anything like that. But we have to support one another. We have to love one another. And we're not a monolith. So everybody's not going to feel and view things the exact same way, but we all want the same outcome. Malcolm and Martin didn't view things the same way in terms of the strategy initially. But the outcome, they wanted to be the same eventually. They wanted peace. They wanted equality. They wanted empowerment. So we have to be Malcolm and Martin. Malcolm and Martin. It's not either or, it's both. God bless. Love you all. Peace.